So welcome back to the channel, guys. Today, we're actually got a little special treat for you. We're going to be installing one of these things right here, a brand new 4K projector in one of our bays. It's the last bay for us to convert, and I thought, why not kill two birds with one stone, almost like vlog style, and while we're knocking out the task, respond to a couple questions that you've asked us. So let's jump in and see if we can get you some answers to some of those questions. So before we dive into some of your questions, first off, let's take a look at the projector that we're going to be installing today. And believe me, this isn't a deep dive review on just a projector, but I did think it would be pretty cool if I actually helped you understand what was the thought process that went into selecting this bad boy right here, which is the Optima UHD50X. Now, with all the different types of projectors that's out on the market, it can be somewhat of a daunting task, but after about 2 to 3 weeks of research, this is the one that we decided to go with, and we truly couldn't be happier. So checking in at about $1,500 to $1,600, this thing's not gonna break the bank, but the absolute best thing is, this thing's got 4K image resolution, which only means you're gonna get an unbelievable picture. I mean, when you go with a higher resolution, not only are you gonna get the deepest blacks, but you're also gonna get the best contrast ratios. And really, I mean, as you watch this flyover, just pay attention to the details and just how crisp everything looks. I mean, much more so than that of a 1080p projector. And the other thing I want to point out is just look how bright this image quality is. And this is courtesy of the 3400 lumens lamp that's in this projector. And as a general rule of thumb, if you go with anything over 2900, you really can't go wrong. So now let's climb up here, swap out this projector so that way we can get the same image quality that you just saw. But let's also go ahead and take your first question. That is, which club should you get fit for first? You know, you definitely are thinking about getting all your clubs fit, which we highly encourage. But you know what, which one and where do you start? Well, you know, obvious reasons some people say is start with the driver because it's no fun being defensive off the tee box. But if your driver's not broke, don't fix it. I mean, start with whatever is impacting your game the most. And there's no secret, if you're trying to lower your scores and drop your handicaps, you're going to start with your putter. Why? Because there's just more strokes to be saved by focusing on the flat stick. So definitely, you know, there's so many different ways you can skin this cat, so to speak. But once again, if you just go with the general rule of thumb, start with whichever is impacting your game the most, you really can't go wrong. Now that one actually came down pretty dang on easy. Hopefully the next one goes up just as easy as it came down. But before doing so, let's take another question. That is, when you're picking out your wedges, should you pick bounce first or grind first? So for us, we always like to fit bounce first. Why? Because we want to fit to the full swing possibility, right? So there's a pretty good chance that you're going to swing your wedges full swing. So we need to make sure that we're choosing the correct bounce that's allowing you to get in and out of turf as clean as efficiently as we possibly can. And then on those creative shots, that's where the grind's going to come in. We can be able to actually change that bounce by manipulating the club, opening up that face, and the grind really does allow you to change the effective bounce by making those little small changes. But go bounce first, then grind, and you can't go wrong. So now that we got this part of the mount securely fastened to the projector, now it's time to take it up, put it on the ceiling, but I did have to make some modifications to the screws, so I used these nuts as spacers, so fingers crossed, hopefully it holds. But let's take another question, and that is, why is club fitting so dang on expensive? Now, I do know that depending on where you go, your results might vary. And although you may believe that you have to take out a small loan, get a second job just in order to buy your next set of golf clubs, it doesn't necessarily have to be that way. And here's a couple quick tips in order to help you out. So tip number one is just because you get fit somewhere doesn't necessarily mean you have to buy your golf clubs there. So feel free to shop it around. Ask for the build specs at the end of the fit and see if you can find a better deal. No different than that of buying a car. So tip number 2 is set your fitter's expectations in advance. Let him know what your budget constraints are, so this way the fitter doesn't potentially go down any rabbit holes, pull something out of the cabinet or off the wall that just might fall outside of what you're willing to pay for. Tip number 3 is to let you know that you are in the driver's seat. You can really determine and dictate the final outcome of what you get, and really understand that the true cost of the custom club fitting process really doesn't lie with the fitting process at all, and actually lies with the customization of the golf club, the final build. So if you truly have that high dollar taste and you gotta have that Fujikura vented shaft on the wall, but then just understand that the cost of the build is gonna go up. But there are options, and a good fitter will present those options for you, especially if you happen to be on a budget. So although custom club fitting can be expensive, hopefully the tips I shared can help you actually manage it and keep it in check. Now it's time for the moment of truth. We've got to put this thing up. Hopefully this mount holds up everything. This is the piece that we always get a little concerned about, because you never want your high dollar projector, to fall on the ground. So let's get it up here on this little mount. And most of these mounts have like little hooks, and that's exactly what we just kind of clamped it in. So before I let go, all right, good. So now you just gotta plug this baby up. Now usually when you're connecting the HDMI ports, there's usually 2 ports for it. One's gonna be a high-speed port, the other one's gonna be just a regular standard HDMI port. So make sure you know which port you're plugging it into. It's just gonna give you better output, little tip. All right, so that's all plugged up, and heck, just like that, it's now up on the ceiling. It's holding just fine. Now all I gotta do is really just mount this thing up, position it so that way the image is perfectly centered on the screen. All right, I think I should do it for today. Got some fine-tune adjustments I got to make. So just make sure we get this thing dialed in. See a little bit of flickering, probably maybe some refresh rate I got to adjust, but actually I think we can call it a wrap. So hopefully you guys enjoyed today's content. It was a little different take on what we normally do, a little bit of a vlog style, behind the scenes, so to speak, and hopefully some of the answers and responses we provided, might have addressed some questions that's been on the top of your mind. If not, do me a favor, leave any questions or comments that you have, and who knows, you just might be featured in an upcoming video, especially if you kind of like this style of content. If you do, not only smash that thumbs up, but let us know in the remarks, that you would like to see more behind the scenes, and we'll sprinkle these in every now and then. So once again, guys, thank you again for your support and watching, and don't forget, take a look at one of these videos over to the side, especially the wedge one up here at the top right. That one's definitely going to, be a good one you're going to want to watch, because you have opportunity to win a brand new ES21 wedge. So guys, thank you again for your support, and until next time.